hip hop?
Gatekeepers in the music industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on what part of the industry you're trying to get access to, there's gatekeepers.
So it's just a lot of people, man, that's just, selling their soul and selling themselves short and distracted with the wrong things. So, it is what it is, man. This industry is a very evil industry.
We just got hit with one of the wildest drops in hip-hop lately, and it's coming straight from Dee-1 and Lil Flip. Word is, the game isn't as free as people think. There's a whole set of hidden gatekeepers pulling strings like puppet masters, deciding who blows up, who gets blackballed, and what messages get blasted into the culture. D-1 came out swinging, saying these so-called new street rappers are being used like pawns in a massive industry scheme. He claims the labels and execs handpick which voices rise up, pushing the chaos, violence, and fast money anthems while silencing anyone who dares to rap about truth, purpose, or faith. That's not coincidence, that's design. Then Lil Flip jumped in and took it even deeper. He said some high-ranking industry folks actually tried to convince him to go through a spiritual cleansing ritual just to stay in favor. What? Flip said he turned it down, but the whole thing left him wondering what kind of power really runs the game. That's not business, that's spiritual warfare. When you line up what Flip's saying with D-1's claims of manipulation, it starts looking like this industry ain't just about hits and money, it's about control. And now people are asking the real question. If this is what's happening behind closed doors, what does that make the music industry? Business or something way darker? Be honest. Do you really think artists like Kendrick or Nipsey made it through untouched? D-1 just cracked the blueprint of how this whole rap machine really works, and it's got the culture shook. D-1 broke it down plain. These labels don't find talent by accident. They're running a recruitment operation, hand-picking young street rappers with raw energy but no clue about the real rules of the game. It's strategic, not random. The moment they spot someone with that hunger, that edge, they move in fast, signing them, shaping them, and turning them into walking, talking chaos. Lil Flip said it straight. That's how the system works. Think about it for a second. The industry doesn't just encourage wild behavior, they amplify it. They highlight every reckless trait an artist has, the violence, the flexing, the toxic storylines, the endless beefs, and they package it as culture. It's not art anymore. It's a product. They glorify destruction because destruction sells. The more controversy, the more clicks, the more streams, the more cash pouring in. D-1 said the process is like science. The execs literally target artists with self-destructive habits and build them up as role models. They turn raw street energy into entertainment fuel, manipulating it until chaos becomes cool. And soon enough, one reckless rapper turns into 10 copycats, a whole generation chasing that same distorted image the gatekeepers designed. This isn't about culture or creativity anymore. It's about control. The gatekeepers are rewriting the streets, flipping pain into profit, and the people paying the price are the communities watching it all unfold. They dangle fame and money like bait, keeping young artists locked in toxic cycles just long enough to drain every ounce of their authenticity. And here's the real hit. D-1 says, once you flip your message positive, the machine cuts you off. You hit a wall instantly. He said the execs tolerate a few conscious rappers like Kendrick or J. Cole, but that's just for balance, a way to look inclusive while keeping the real power in the hands of the same shadowy players. The message is clear. Speak truth and you're out.
If you are representing something positive or something righteous or something intellectual or godly, you absolutely have to do way more work to make the industry say, all right, we're gonna let them in.
D-1 said it best. When those execs told him, we got enough of them, it spoke volumes. That one line exposes the whole game. The gatekeepers don't want too many voices pushing unity, spirituality, or real change, because messages like that wake people up. And once folks start thinking for themselves, the system loses control. They can't sell illusion to an audience that's aware. So what do? They cap it. They only let a handful of positive artists through while flooding the market with noise. Tracks that glorify chaos, quick money, and pain. It's music that moves fast but kills slow. Every bar becomes another distraction. Every trend another leash. And when you connect those dots, you start seeing how deep this manipulation really goes. Look at Nipsey Hussle's movement. He wasn't just rapping, he was building an empire from the ground up. He owned his label, his brand, his message, everything. That's what scared the gatekeepers the most. He was preaching self-ownership, wealth in the community, and spiritual elevation, the kind of mindset that breaks people free from the system's grip. That's power they can't control. And then there's Kendrick Lamar, the man who didn't just dodge the system, he rewrote what freedom looks like. Kendrick never chased clout or trends, never needed a cosign. He built his own path with nothing but truth, reflection, and faith in his purpose. Every lyric feels like a mirror, every beat a message. He's proof that real change starts inside, and then it spreads outward like fire. That's why Kendrick's sound hits so hard. It's not just music, it's a movement. He turned hip-hop into a spiritual journey, blending jazz, funk, and soul while keeping his pen razor-sharp with political and moral power. He didn't just play the game, he flipped it on its head and made the world listen. When To Pimp a Butterfly dropped, it didn't just shake the charts, it shifted the culture. Kendrick turned pain into poetry, made self-love revolutionary, and gave a whole generation music that meant something. Every track was a lesson, every lyric a mirror. While most rappers were flexing diamonds, Kendrick was talking about breaking chains, not wearing them. He proved that you can be conscious, spiritual, and still dominate the mainstream without selling out. And now with his own platform, PG Lang, Kendrick's pushing that independence even further. He's not just rapping anymore, he's building a movement. When people talk about escaping the industry's grip, Kendrick isn't just an exception, he's the blueprint. He showed that integrity and success can coexist, that you can speak truth, move culture forward, and still win major without being controlled by the machine. At the end of the day, artists like Dee-1, Kendrick, Cole, and Nipsey all carry the same kind of rebellion in their DNA. They're not chasing trends, they're changing them. They've redefined what winning looks like, turning the system upside down and forcing people to think deeper about what real power means. And that's exactly why the gatekeepers try so hard to keep them boxed in. Because if too many artists start thinking like Nipsey, this whole billion-dollar illusion starts crumbling. But here's where it gets even darker. Lil Flip saw firsthand how twisted it can get when you refuse to play their game. He said people literally came to his home offering something called a spiritual cleansing. But Flip knew from the jump that it wasn't prayer or faith. It was manipulation. Something about it felt off, like they were trying to tap into a power deeper than music. He said it felt more like control dressed up as spirituality, the kind of move that makes you wonder just how far the industry's reach really goes. Lil Flip didn't just stop at exposing what happened. He connected it to the bigger game. He said plain and clear, some artists really sell their souls for fame, and he wasn't speaking in metaphors this time. He meant it literally. Artists giving up their morals, their peace, their integrity, piece by piece, just to stay relevant in the rap game. That's how deep this thing runs. The same system that preaches chase the bag teaches artists to put fame over family, money over morals, and image over identity. They sell you a dream, but it's just a trap in disguise. On the outside, it looks like success, but behind the curtain, it's submission. Flip said that so-called spiritual cleansing sounded way more like an initiation into something darker. Think about it. They tell artists it's about self-growth, enlightenment, or creative renewal.
I know what be going on behind the scenes. I know who not really in control. You know what I mean? I know the real. You know, a lot of times people be blinded by what they see in these videos and on TV, but I just know, I know what I know, man, you know.
But behind those fancy words, it's about control. One compromise leads to another until you're fully owned by the system. It's a slow surrender, step by step, decision by decision, until you've got fame but no freedom left. Flip said he stood his ground and refused, but that's where the real question hits. How many others didn't? How many artists nodded yes just to stay in the game? That's where Dee-1's warning echoes the loudest. He said he was offered contracts that came with invisible strings, deals that didn't just trade money for music, but demanded silence, participation, and loyalty to the wrong side. According to Dee-1, these gatekeepers made it crystal clear: if you want success, you play by their rules, whether physically or spiritually. You do what they say, or you're cut off. And that's when he broke it down. There are two levels of gatekeeping in this industry. One you see in the boardrooms, and one you feel in your soul. D-1 broke it down perfectly. There are two levels of gatekeeping, and the first one's easy to spot. It's the loud kind, the flashy contracts, the fake promises, and the manipulative do this or lose that conversations. That's the side everyone recognizes. The headlines, the deals, the power plays. But the second kind, that's the one that creeps in quiet, and it's way more dangerous. That's when the gatekeepers tell artists to dim their light, to tone down their truth, to stop mentioning God, to water down their message just enough to stay marketable. That's the subtle manipulation that kills a person's authenticity from the inside out. It's not a direct threat. It's a slow fade, where your real self starts getting erased behind a polished image that the system approves of. D-1 says that's exactly what went down with Sexy Red. And Lil Flip's story lines up perfectly. Flip exposed how this same system trains artists to believe that fame over family is the new moral code, making them trade loyalty, love, and peace of mind for the illusion of success. It's all smoke and mirrors. Both of them just describe the same trap from different angles. At the end of the day, this isn't just about bad contracts or shady managers. It's about control. Control over what artists say, how they move, what energy they project, and what messages they're allowed to share. It's control over the very soul of hip-hop. And the scariest part, when too many artists start dimming their light, the whole culture starts going dark. Flip lived that truth firsthand. The second he refused to play their game, everything stopped cold. No radio play, no interviews, no label push, nothing. His name just vanished overnight like someone flipped a switch. One day, he's everywhere. The next day, he's invisible. That's not coincidence, that's punishment. Lil Flip said it straight. In this game, it's not just about talent or hustle, it's about obedience. The second you stop nodding your head or start asking the wrong questions, the gatekeepers make sure you vanish. They don't argue, they don't warn, they just erase you. It's like a silent message to every other artist watching. Step out of line and you'll be next. D-1 echoed that same truth. He said, the moment you stand firm on your morals, refuse the shady deals, or reject the spiritual nonsense they push, you get deleted from the mainstream. No playlist placements, no magazine features, no award nominations, nothing. The machine shuts its doors completely, and the craziest part, they do it surgically, so it looks natural, like you just fell off instead of being deliberately buried. That's the system's secret weapon. They don't just reward loyalty, they punish resistance. That's the real blueprint right there. It's how they keep control, by making silence the only way to survive. But here's the twist. The truth never really dies. It just goes underground, waiting for the next brave voice to drag it back into the light. And Lil Flip, he refused to bow. When they tried to shut him out, he didn't crawl back begging for approval. He flipped the whole script. Instead of chasing labels, he built his own, Clover G Records, and started releasing music directly to the people. He took his independence and turned it into power. And guess what? It worked. Flip stayed paid, stayed respected, and most importantly, stayed himself. He proved you don't need to sell your soul to shine. That freedom gave him what the industry could never buy: creative control, ownership, and real peace of mind. Because when you own your story, nobody can silence your voice.
Like, it's been a lot of, excuse my French, it's been a lot of pulling, you know what I'm saying? Right. A lot of kissing, a lot of, you not keeping it real with the people who keep it real with you, you know what I mean? Like,
once Lil Flip set the example, other independent artists started following that same blueprint. They stopped chasing contracts and started building communities. They realized they didn't need a label's permission to win. They needed people, real fans, real supporters, real connections. Instead of begging for gatekeeper approval, they turned followers into believers and believers into legacy. That's the real revolution happening quietly behind the scenes. It's a mix of hope and warning, because while independence shows it's possible to win without losing your soul, the dark side of the game is always whispering. It lures artists in with quick fame, fake friends, and glittering lies. But that light burns out fast, leaving people broken inside. True independence, it's not the easy road, but it's the only one where your art, your spirit, and your legacy survive intact. When you line up Kendrick, Nipsey, Dee-1, and Lil Flip, you start seeing the bigger picture clear as day. These aren't just rappers, they're truth tellers who refuse to play by the industry's twisted rules. They carved their own paths and dared to teach others how to do the same. Lil Flip even went so far as to hand out books showing artists how to play the system without being played. That's how much he wanted others to win on their own terms. Meanwhile, Kendrick used his voice to wake people up, turning his platform into a tool for awareness, not just profit. Nipsey showed us the power of ownership, from his masters to his brand to his block, proving that real success is self-made. And D-1, he tore the mask off the whole machine, exposing how the gatekeepers handpick who shines and who gets buried. Together, they're proof that truth, independence, and purpose can still thrive in an industry built on control. And Lil Flip stood firm through it all, turning down those strange offers and keeping it solid on his own. That's what makes him dangerous to the system, because he can't be bought, can't be bent, and definitely can't be silenced. Flip, Dee-1, Kendrick, and Nipsey. They all stand for the one thing the industry fears most: artists who think for themselves. When Dee-1 said, "The industry only wants a few conscious rappers," that line hit different, because deep down, they all know the truth. Once real messages about unity, freedom, and spiritual growth start spreading, the whole system loses control. They can't manipulate a culture that's awake. That's why they flood the airwaves with chaos and drama. It keeps the people distracted while they pull the strings in peace. Kendrick and Nipsey's energy was the total opposite. They stood for building, not breaking, purpose, not profit. They showed that you can top the charts, inspire millions, and still stay real to your roots. That's power. And power like that threatens the system's design, because when artists move with that kind of light, the gatekeepers do everything they can to dim it, blackballing, silencing, ignoring, anything to quiet that impact. So now the question burns: if Dee-1 and Flip are telling the truth, how deep does this go? Is it just about music or something much bigger? Could it be mind control on a cultural level? Either way, this story's got layers, and you already know we're going to keep peeling them back. So make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more real talk and exclusive updates. Stay locked in, and see you on the next one.